Hey Zen fam, and those of you out there who have stumbled across this video and may hopefully become part of the Zen fam, welcome. So today we've had an interesting little piece of news happen today. We have learned about something that's very far away, very much in its embryonic stages of development. All we really have is a super rough outline and a possible project name, which could very easily change because these things do. I mean, let's face it, the PlayStation 3 was originally known as the Orbis. the Nintendo Wii was known as Dolphin. Was it the Wii? Or was it the GameCube? Anyway, things have project names, and then they get their eventual name. You know, like the PlayStation VR was originally called Project Morpheus. So, these things can change. But for the now, we have a title, and that title is Assassin's Creed Infinite. And then instantly upon reading Infinite, I was like, ooh, you have my attention, sir. And it's like, and apparently, what Ubisoft are wanting to do is they want to get down with a whole bunch of the studios and bring together this sort of cohesive, time-spanning, online narrative that basically, I assume, is going to be a bit of everything, and apparently they want to keep adding to it as time passes. So a little bit of that Fortnite thing where a continually changing and evolving map space with more and more people being added to it all the time. But then it's also, it's Assassin's Creed, so does that mean we're fiddling with the Animus? Does that mean we have a central spot that could be like an Animus center, and maybe we develop an avatar and we then just inject ourselves into past versions of our avatar, or at least genetic ancestors of our avatar, to go around in Assassin's Creed environmental sort of historical settings? Obviously they'll draw from Assassin's Creed of the past, probably all the Assassin's Creeds, so we could be, in the Middle East, then we could be in Rome, and Venice, London, Victorian London obviously, Greece of antiquity, Egypt, revolutionary America. Obviously there have been the revolutionary France, around the Caribbean in piratical times. There's a lot of options, and there could be more, because there have been other Assassin's Creed stories told in other formats, and then of course there was the 2.5D games, were set in different countries and stuff. There's a lot of scope, and they can just keep chucking in more and more bits. And I have to admit, I am tickled by this prospect. They could do so much here. And as long as they don't get crazy with the microtransactions and the collectibles, and there could be a seriously interesting gameplay angle here, Now you could obviously do things where you're by yourself and you jump into a time frame and you do a bunch of stuff in that time frame. And I'm assuming, there would be a story mode and an online mode where you pick a time period, you go through that time period, and you've probably played through all the time periods that it has to offer at launch in the story mode, and sort of figure out some sort of big puzzle, and they all come together, and you probably have some particular thing you're doing, that get different pieces of Eden together to stop something or start something. And once you have that, then you're able to revisit, you know, and you basically are protecting a timeline or something, or covering a timeline, or who knows. That's all, you know, very Doctor Who, wibbly wobbly timey wimey. So, you know, you could obviously be in and out of different time periods with different abilities, you know. So then you probably would have to have an adjustable skill tree, you know. There's some parts obviously would remain the same, you know, stealth and all the rest of it, and robbing on, you know, unsuccessful takedowns and that, you know, whether you go in lethal or non-lethal, you know, how much scaling your character can do, you know, will you have a will you have a caster, you know, so you're able to eject a rope up ahead with you like Batman and climb your buildings. I mean, after all, we had that in Syndicate. By the way, Syndicate is totally my favourite. You know, will you have a much more limited tool set like Bayek? You know, there's so many possibilities, so many branching paths, and it could be the case that, like, we might not never get another Assassin's Creed game after this. This could be the Assassin's Creed hub. You know, it could be that we have this one hub, and then Assassin's Creed extends out from it, and out from it, and out from it. And the game, and any games that would then happen, and games that have happened, would be netted through this. So, you know, you could have go into the Viking adventures, you could, you know, possibly even meet Eivor, you know, or be Eivor, you know, in the story mode. But obviously in the online mode, probably be Eivor would probably make you too OP. So, you know, you could probably at least have adventures with Eivor. You know, you could even have it as a split. You could have like modes where you're either playing as a Templar or playing as part of the Brotherhood. In fact, that could be pick your faction, you know, because there are people out there who like to cosplay as the dark side, you know, or as the Empire. I'm sure there are plenty of people who cosplay who like to cosplay as Abstergo. So yeah, things could get really interesting. In fact, it could even get to a point where you're doing modern day Assassin's Creed stuff, both in the single player and in the multiplayer, that is set within the Watch Dogs universe. Because even though Ubisoft themselves came out a long time ago and said, oh no, Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, they're not connected. They even said this after, in Black Flag, when you discover a conversation between two employees, and one of the employees is saying about how she wants to go to Seattle, or was it Seattle? I think it was Seattle. It might be in San Francisco. One other American city that wasn't Chicago anyway. This is the first Watch Dogs. This is surrounding around the time of the first Watch Dogs game, as far as I'm given to understand. And go and work for CTOS. And then, recently, you know, I've been playing a lot of Watch Dogs Legion. I've already done the story, but I smashed it out the gates. Love that game. Really good game. Really enjoyed it. And I've been playing the online mode, and I'm waiting for the DLC, which apparently is ready now for me to play. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that. But here's the thing. There's a mission fairly late on in the game. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything about the mission, but when you're done the mission, your character's on a roof, and they do an eagle jump off the roof into the water, and you hear the eagle screech sound. Hear that? So the character literally plonks out his arms and dives, head first, into the water, all Assassin's Creed style. And it's like, and then apparently, according to a couple of channels out there that I watch, there is allegedly, there's going to be a bit of DLC down the road for Watch Dogs Legion that is the Assassin's Creed crossover. Now, I don't know how reliable this information is. Maybe the YouTuber was talking to his bahookie. Who can say? But if it does prove to be the case, this could be very, very interesting. would be a good development, both for story and for gameplay mechanics, and just for the general lore. I mean, the idea that these things could share universes. I mean, I don't think they're going to do much more universe sharing than that. I mean, I don't see it stretching into the Division timeline. Even though admittedly in the first Division game, there's actually a part in New York where you can go to and you can actually find Ubisoft Studios in New York and have a look around. You don't see anything of any note, but it's there. So, Ubisoft's got form with this, hiding things in things. So, it'd be kind of neat if, like, maybe you had a modern day assassin who is linked with DedSec and has hacking abilities. So you could have an assassin, right, who's like set in the modern period, so he's got the shotgun instead of the blade, and he's got a spider bot, and he's got the cloaking ability, and you can hack stuff in that, but you still got the same parkour, you still got the hood, you still got, you still follow the code, Everything is permitted, is it not? So I just love how many doors this can open, We can have multiple branching storylines. We can have a story mode that technically could just be keeping adding on to, If it's written cleverly, then quite frankly the story could be without end. Now there is an enticing prospect. A story that keeps changing and evolving and growing. Always something new to do, always a new experience, and not just rehashing of the same mission type over and over and over again. Not just climbing towers and opening up map sequences, It's like basically almost an MMO, but Assassin's Creed. A fully fleshed out universe. I mean, you even take it to the level of Grand Theft Auto. A gigantic open world, which has worlds within the worlds. And this, obviously, is pure next gen, or this gen, depending on your point of view. It's total next generation, because if you're going to be going between all these different environments, you're jumping in the Animus and boom, you're waking up in ancient Greece, or boom, you're in like Viking England, or boom, you're in revolutionary America, or other time periods, you could be boom, you're an assassin who's there, at the Battle of Bannockburn, There's so many historical potential storylines, I mean, hell, you could even go back to maybe the 80s or the 70s, be there at the Winter of Discontent, be there with the movement of the unions as they're trying to actually make their lives better, and sort of try and come out from under the heel of Margaret Thatcher, who could very easily be a Templar. I mean, honestly, the possibilities are infinite. And my brain is just buzzing on this. I read about this on my lunch break, and I've been wanting to make this video all day long. I haven't watched anybody else's videos about this. I wanted to come at this with a completely fresh brain. So I don't know what anybody else out there has said yet. I mean, it's 12:15 while I'm making this video in Scotland. So you have an idea of how long ago this video's taken for me to get to my camera and just talk about this. But if it's handled right, and Ubisoft is 50-50, sometimes they go way off skew and sometimes they absolutely smack the target. And I'm praying for the latter, because if they get this right, now admittedly it's going to be at least a couple of years away, probably even 4 years away. I mean, an idea this big, this complex, if it's even half of what I'm talking about, that's going to take time, it's going to take resources. and it's going to need an SSD, for the fast zipping about. There's going to be various types of weather. There's going to be different types of environment. There's going to be different forms of flora and fauna. There's going to be different types of, vocal talent needed, because not just, languages and variations of speech, but also, how people talk in different time periods. I mean, even though everything will be translated to English because the Animus translates to the language of the user, the fact of the matter is, the way that the language will be spoken will have different ways of doing it. I mean, if I went back, right, to the 1800s and spoke to a person in an English-speaking country, we would have a hard time understanding each other, because English is a continually moving and evolving language form. It's okay for other countries. I mean, like for Chinese or any one of the other tiger economy languages, they could pretty much go back in time almost as far as they liked, because those languages haven't changed so much. But English is a funny beastie, because it's made up of so many other languages all mashed together and squished into a weird shape with odd rules. I mean, things like silent letters, and different pronunciation bubbles of different types of letter arrangements. And some of the words we have are the same word but spelt a different way to mean a different thing. I mean, English is one of the hardest languages to learn for somebody who doesn't speak English. We all know this. But to get back to the point, this could be a really super interesting thing. And I really love the idea that maybe you could actually put you in the game, have a really, really great character editor. So it could be actually you in there, with your name, your face. Obviously, the game body will be different, because you have to be this athletic, super strong, able to hold on to ledges for like 10 minutes at a time, assassin. So you're not going to use your body, obviously, but your face, your name, probably not your voice, but at least your name, because if you remember with Fallout 4, you were able to tap in your name and it would speak your name back to you in anything else. I mean, I always loved it with Codsworth as a Mr. And saying my name back at me and all the rest of it, and all the characters would do that. They'd all use your name. The game was clever enough to be able to actually say your name to you. Now, I don't know if they just recorded every name there is. I suspect what they probably had was a very clever text-to-speech protocol that was able to use all the voices, probably from a bunch of different sound clips. It was able to match together to make the sounds to make the names, which I think is how a lot of those protocols work. If anybody out there's a coder and knows different, please typey down below, let me know, in case I'm wrong, which I am perfectly willing to admit that some things I can be uber wrong, but if I'm not, then ding 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 ding, a winner. But yeah, I'm just really jazzed about this idea. This idea that I could buy this one piece of software and, over time it would adapt and grow and change and evolve. Yeah? Now, the question is, the adaptations and the changes and the growth, what's the model for that? Am I buying season passes? Am I buying patches? Now, admittedly, Ubisoft, they do like a season pass, so it's probably the case that there'll probably be a buy, a yearly or maybe a 2-yearly season pass, or maybe you could buy individual patches. But then the problem with buying individual patches is somebody could have the London patch and they want to play with their pal, but their pal doesn't have the London patch. Now, would it be like some games Or like if you have the patch, your pal can play with you because they get sort of like a temporary pass to that patch? Or is it going to be the case where Ubisoft gets a little bit money hungry and basically goes, no, 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 you have to have that patch as well. And then obviously you get a menu up and then you'd have to spend money, you know. And if you're an organised person like me, you have a little bit of money in that PSN account, you know. Or do you just go ahead and have a season pass and boom, you just get all the stuff for that year as it comes out. And obviously every year or 2 years you would obviously have to pony up the cash and get a bit and have another season pass. But if it's going to do that much content, you know, with that kind of detail that we usually are expecting from an Assassin's Creed, then Assassin's Creed itself would become a true service game. Now I know what you're thinking, service games, ooh, that can get tricky. Now yes, there are cases where there have been service games that have abused the customer base. They've basically just gone, no, we're just going to take your money and give you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, look at Destiny. You know, Destiny started out with this great idea and just kept on doing season passes and season passes and season passes, and the game never really changed or evolved. It was just like, here's a few more weapons, here's a couple more locations, here's some more bad guys. They go out and do the same 16 missions again. No. So Ubisoft has got to get this right. They've got to make sure there's a great balance of content, challenge, of gameplay, progression, and evolving environment. They're basically going to have to be juggling a lot of balls. But if they're bringing all their studios into collaboration on this project and having a strong product lead team that all their job is looking after Assassin's Creed Infinite, you know, and basically any future Assassin's Creed games and all the past games are married into Infinite. Maybe you don't want to play Infinite, but you're looking to play the next Assassin's Creed game. Let's just say, I don't know, we'll call it Assassin's Creed Freedom. Now, not Freedom, because we already had Freedom Cry, that'd be ridiculous. Say Assassin's Creed Claymore, and it's basically during the Scottish Uprising, you know, through all the famous battles, like maybe you're a Templar who's actually trying to help William Wallace, you know. Obviously, admittedly, it doesn't go through, we still end up under the yoke of Westminster, but make for interesting gameplay and storylines, you know, being the part of, you know, Battle of Bannockburn, and, you know, admittedly you'd have to watch Wallace get, like, you know, tortured by Longshanks and that, but, you know, that's one of the things that they love to do at Ubisoft. They love to portray history, so that could be cool, you know. So anyway, there's lots and lots of dream scenarios. I'm sure you out there, you probably have all kinds of historical scenarios you'd love to play out, and that could happen. So it's just possibilities upon possibilities upon possibilities. And I am very excited for this, and I'm having a hard time trying to collate all the thoughts in my head and spew them out to you guys. And I'm sure you guys have lots of thoughts, which obviously I very much would love to have you type down in that comment section, and not just one or two of yous. If you've gotten this far in the video, one, obviously, thank you, but two, please share your thoughts. What historical scenarios would you love to get to play through and be part of with this eventual title, if indeed it makes it out of dev and into the world and into our hands and on our systems? What would you want? How would you want it to go? I really honestly want to know, because sometimes you guys out there, you come up with some really interesting stuff. I mean, like, there's a couple of you recently in the comments recently, I've said recently like 3 times now, some of you out there in the comments over the last wee while have been saying some really interesting stuff, you know, and a couple of you have reminded me of things that I've forgotten about, you know. So if this game comes out, then I think that'll be the game that'll change my stream, because then no longer will I just stream random things of whatever I'm playing at that point. I might just turn the stream over to that completely. You know, I might play it outside of the stream, but I think that'll become the mainstream game. But obviously we'll have to see when and if and what it comes out to be. Because I've got to do something about the stream light, because the fact that I can't green screen with the stream at the moment with the PlayStation 5 is driving me nuts. You know, I can't do face cam, and it kills the stream, because I know you guys, you know, most of you out there, when you watch a stream, you like to see the streamer at the same time. You want to be able to converse with the streamer and, you know, be part of the experience. And you probably feel less part of the experience when you can't see the player. And I love green screening and playing video games for you guys. And the fact that PlayStation 5 is arguing with Twitch right now is annoying. And it's like, I want that. But I'm getting off topic again. I keep drifting here because it's late at night and I've been all day at work. And, you know, my brain's just buzzing with ideas, basically. So I hope your brain's buzzing with ideas and that you tell me your ideas in the comment section. Whew! There's probably other stuff I'm going to think about after this video is over, and I'm going to have to come to terms with the fact that I won't be able to tell you that stuff, because I don't like to repeat myself in videos, although I have been guilty of it in the past. But I'm rambling. Right, okay. Zenblock, stop. Close the video. End it now. Let's do the thing. Let's do the outro. Let's let the ladies and gentlemen out there answer back and, you know, get on with the rest of their day, whatever point they've come to this video. Okay. Breathe. And outro. Okay guys, you know the drill. Hashtag support Scottish YouTubers. And of course, as always, aye, nae bother.